I now call to order the February 23rd, 2026 Planning and Zoning Board meeting. We now have a quorum. Is this? Is that better? It's still not. Not, I don't think it's very loud. It's not good. 3. Oh, there we go. I think that got it. Testing. I think that got it. Okay, we now have a quorum, and I will turn it over to Andrew to introduce our newest member. I know she's not here yet, but...
Well, we do have a new alternate in town for the planning board, Miss Linda Bishop. However, the seat's empty, so I have nobody to introduce at this time. So I suggest we just continue on with the meeting.
Okay, thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
No changes.
Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Barry, second by Darrell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Conflict of interest statement. In accordance with North Carolina Government's Ethics Act, it is the duty of every board member to avoid both conflict of interest and appearance of conflict, and are instructed to refrain from participating in any matter coming before this board if there's a conflict of interest or appearance of such conflict. If a board member has a known conflict of interest or appearance of conflict with respect to any matter coming before this board today, please identify the conflict and refrain from any participation in the matter involved. Does any member of the board have a conflict of interest in any matter coming before the board today? Approval of meeting minutes. Is there a motion to approve the regular minutes of November 24th, 2025? You can't hear me, or?
Not a word.
Let me see if I can get it a little bit closer. There's a button on here. What is that? That just mutes it, or was that? Okay. Okay.
George, can you hear okay? Can you hear him? Okay.
Okay, we have a motion by Jane and a second by Paul to approve the regular minutes of November 24th, 2025. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, now we're going to have an election for planning board and the chair and vice chair. We now have an election of officers. It's the annual nomination and election of chair and vice chair as required by the planning board rules of procedure. I'll now turn it over to Andrew.
Yeah, we just need a motion from somebody in the board to nominate a chair, and then a second.
Randy. I nominate Randy.
Second.
Okay. Anybody opposed? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And Randy, you can move forward with the election of the vice chair.
Okay. We will now have election of vice chair. We have a nomination. Anyone nominate? I'll nominate Barry.
I'll second it.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed by nay. Okay. Okay, adoption of rules of procedure. The rules of procedure for the planning board require that they are reviewed and adopted annually. I will now turn it over to Andrew.
We just need a motion to adopt the rules of procedure.
We're not changing anything, so.
Right.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the rules of procedure as written?
Second.
I think Darrell. Okay, we have a motion by Barry, second by Darrell, to approve the rules of procedure as written. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Okay. Under new business, case number CZLC 2502, intersection of Perth and State Park Roads, request to rezone property from suburban residential to conditional zoning local commercial for the purpose of home run market fueling station. I will now turn it to Andrew.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. I do want to go through the process real quick for those of you who might not have been to one of these meetings before. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay. Staff will give a report. The board will have a chance to ask staff questions. The applicant will then have a chance to present the request. Again, the board can ask the applicant some questions. Then it's time for the public comment to open up. The chair will call people up to make comments. Board will make a recommendation. The board is not bound to the staff recommendation. In the same way, the council meeting on the 12th, the council is not bound to the planning board recommendation. Council will hear the case on March 12th and make the final recommendation on the case. Background request. The applicant is Home Run Market Properties, LLC. The property owners are Darren Stevenson and Ronald Wyatt. Current zoning on the property is RS, or Suburban Residential. The request is to rezone the property to Town of Troutman Conditional Zoning, Local Commercial. Proposed use is a convenience market and fueling station. Size of the property is roughly 4.5 acres. Location of the site, it is on the southwestern corner of Perth Road and State Park Roads, outlined here in red. To the north is the New Perth ARP Cemetery. About 1,000 feet up Perth Road is the Perth Bait and Tackle Shop. If you go down State Park Road, a couple miles down, about 5 miles down to the west, you run into Lake Norman State Park. I think we're all familiar with the location. Current zoning. What you see in purple is the RS district, or Suburban Residential District. What you see in white is Iredell County zoning jurisdiction. Single-family residential is basically what's zoned out that way. What we have up here in the blue is highway business. Perth Mini Mart is right here for reference. And then we have some conditional zoning mixed residential up here to the north on the corner of Perth and Autumnleaf. Zoning. The RS district is established as a district which the principal use of land is for low-density single-family residences along with their customary accessory uses. Again, this is the current zoning of the property. The LC district, it's intended to provide less intense commercial and service uses to the area or neighborhood in which it is located. Such district shall be located on major or minor thoroughfares at crossroads not suitable for residential development. I do want to point out this is a conditional zoning district if approved. So if approved, it can only be used for the use that is applied for tonight, and it has to follow the concept plan that was submitted along with the application. Land use map. Future land use map, which you see the property here outlined in black. The blue shade underneath it is our special lakes use district. We have medium density residential just to the north, which is this beige color. And then right up the road here, we got our neighborhood commercial district. Again, this is the intersection of Perth and Autumnleaf roads. Special lake uses. These areas in the vicinity of Lake Norman promote low-density developments, 2 to 3 single-family detached houses per acre through conventional zoning that allows a variety of open space uses, including parks, greenways, nature preserves, and agricultural uses. Associated zoning district is what it's currently zoned. This is the concept plan that was submitted by the applicant. The applicant will have a presentation after this one. They can probably walk through this a little bit more in depth. Just to align you, this roadway here is Perth Road. State Park Road is right here, if you can see the laser pointer. The structure is on the, I guess this would be the back side of the property. The fueling stations are just in front of it. This is a little bit of a zoomed in version. So again, we've got the fueling station right here. We've got what would be the store right here. You can see we've got some required landscaping along the back side of the property to the adjacent residential properties. I do want to point out this red line you see here. This is required designation of right-of-way. So if Perth Road is ever widened to 4 lanes, they are required to give some designation of right-of-way, so they would be able to widen that roadway. Watershed and TIA. The site is located in the Catawba Protected Area Watershed. So if this is approved and we do get engineer drawings to review, it will have to meet the requirements of the watershed. TIA, our threshold for a TIA is 100 peak hour trips. This was met. Intersections that were looked at, the TIA, Wagner Street and Main Street, or US 21, Perth and Autumn Leaf Road, Perth and State Park Road, Perth and Clontz Hill Road, and then the 2 access points to the site. What the TIA found was a right-hand turn lane from Autumn Leaf Road onto Wagner Street and a left-hand turn lane from Perth Road into the site. We do have our transportation consultant here if you have any specific questions. Community meeting was required and it was held on October 2nd, 2025. Concerns brought up were about traffic and site circulation, screening and buffering to adjacent residential areas, the project not being consistent with the surrounding residential character and future land use plan, and concerns regarding noise pollution and light pollution. Some changes made in the plan, and again, I think the applicant will touch base on these when they give their presentation. Modification to the building facade, modification to the lighting to keep lighting on site, and the applicant did remove the car wash that was originally proposed with the application. A little bit of history about the area. Troutman's strategic plan in 2018 originally had this as medium density residential. It was indicated in the 2035 future land use plan. In that plan, there was an area that was considered an overlay district, which was called the Highway 21 State Park Gateway. This did allow limited commercial and residential development. In 2022, the map was updated to identify the current special lake uses designation, which I had read earlier. In spring of 2025, the creation of the local commercial district for smaller scale commercial located along major thoroughfares and intersections was created by the council. It was meant for basically properties like this one that are at an intersection of 2 major roadways located along major thoroughfare. And then I do want to point out that we are currently in development of the 2055 Comprehensive Land Use Plan, as the projections from both the 2035 and 2018 plans have been greatly exceeded due to residential development. We do project this completion date of this plan to be December of this coming year. Being that the LC district was created last year for smaller scale commercial and uses on thoroughfares and at intersections, staff can support this request at the location because it fits the intent of that district. Planning board options. So planning board has the option either to support the request or not to support the request. As part of the recommendation from planning board, they're required to give a consistency statement. So some options planning board does have. If they decide to support it, they could mention something about the development is located at intersections of major thoroughfares where non-residential development is a sufficient use. If they decide not to support it, inconsistent with the definition of the special lakes use as amended in 2022. Again, I want to point out, council will most likely make a decision on its March 12th meeting, which is at 7 p.m., same room. And with that, I'll open it up any questions the planning board has for me.
Does anyone have any questions for Andrew at this time? Yes, sir.
Special lakes use, will that live on into the new land use directive that's in development now?
At this point in time, we're at the beginning process of that plan. We don't know. I would anticipate a full redesign of the comprehensive land use plan, and I don't imagine it's going to live on in its current version.
Are smaller scale commercials going to be in it, though? The verbiage will be in there?
Most likely that's the case.
Anyone else? All right, if the applicant would like to give their presentation at this time.
These are just some copies of it's in your agenda, but the proposal appears a little different to the PowerPoint, just so you guys have these.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Andrew, for kind of laying that out for us. We'll go through here, and we're going to tag in this a little bit, but kind of let you know who we are. So I'm Josh Staley. I'm the general manager with Home Run Markets and JT Alexander. Here on behalf of David Alexander, he's out of town, couldn't be here tonight. So we'll just tell you a little bit what we do, who we are, and what we're hoping for. I've been there 15 years, and that time we've grown from one Home Run Market to 18. History of the company, founded in 1935, so proudly just celebrated our 90th year in business last year, so it's pretty exciting for everybody involved. David Alexander's third generation owner. Like I said, we've continued to grow the business. On the wholesale side, we deliver fuel for Shell, BP, 76, a little bit of Marathon in North and South Carolina. So we've grown the wholesale side as well as the retail side. As you can see, our mission, once again, is still family owned, and we still operate like that. I'd like to think that as we've grown, we managed to keep that family feel. So if you go to our sites, you'll know the people there working. So in the current brochure you got there, that's actually our director of retail ops. They're not paid actors in those photos like you might see. That's at the site up here on Amity Hill Road. If you guys have been there, you kind of seen our operation, how we like to operate. They're well lit, they're clean. Our vision is to continue to build the family legacy. Excuse me. And part of the communities that we've been involved in for the last 9 years. Some of the things we've done as far as being involved in the community, both David and I and other folks in our organization, Boys and Girls Club, Iredell Arts Council, Fifth Street Ministries, local soccer clubs, Impact Football Club. Like, we really believe that being a part of the community, I mean, I know we're not Sheetz, we're not Quick Trip, and we're not Circle K, and that's what you get with us. Like, we're here. I live 8 miles up the road. Like, we're around. My kids go to Statesville High School. Having said that, we still partner with South Iredell. We're not, we're not biased. We partner with schools all around in different clubs. So happy to do that. We're going to continue to do that. Which kind of goes into the next slide. I think this might be community feedback. Corey will get into the details, but the community feedback is really important for us because we want you guys to like what we feel. So we took that back, made some revisions, and hopefully what you see is what you like. So, Corey, you want to dive into that part?
Is there a copy of the site plan that's in here?
Yeah, on the slideshow.
Yes. So I'm Corey Sloan. I'm the consultant for the on-site portion of this project. What you see on the slide is what we brought to staff and to the community meeting for our first pass at what the applicant initially saw this site looking like. Again, some of the bigger concerns that we heard were the noise concerns about the car wash being so close to the road, some of the lighting, and the commercial aesthetic of what you would typically envision as a C-store, like what you see out there off of exit 45. So you can, Paige, if we'll go back to the elevation real quick. Back one more, maybe one more. So this is what the updated building elevation will generally look like. So they've incorporated some wood materials on the upper half of the building, some stone around the base. Again, to kind of, I'm going to use the word tone down the bright, flashy, hey, this is a major, interstate highway exit store. So it's kind of got a little bit more of a country feel to it. So let's go back forward page to the current site plan. So this is the current site plan. Again, you can see where the car wash has been removed, what we've done to kind of help you all and help the public understand what's going on with those perimeter buffers. There's a 20-foot perimeter buffer along the plan south and plan east side of the property. I believe there's 45 trees that are going to be proposed in this area and 300 shrubs. Half of those trees are going to be 20 feet tall at their mature height, and 50% of them are also going to be evergreens. So it'll be a year-round screen. Some of the technical aspects, we are in the watershed, as Andrew mentioned. We're underneath the low density thresholds for built upon area. So we're trying to keep in line with the request for rezoning by providing a lower density, less intense commercial project here at the corner. This is the site lighting plan that we had done by an independent consultant that does a lot of stuff with convenience stores. What you'll note here, I think it's important, the foot candles, which are what regulates site lighting requirements by the town's ordinance and just general industry standard. The maximum foot candles that we're showing at the property line is 0.3 foot candles. The maximum allowable by the ordinance, I believe, is 3 foot candles. So we're well under any sort of brightness or light pollution requirements adjacent to these residential properties. It's my understanding that that calculation also does not include any sort of additional screening that would be provided by the buffer. Did I say that clearly? The TIA, we touched on the folks at Kimley Horner here. So as required by the town, prior to coming to this board, the TIA was completed that identified a right turn lane off of Autumn Hill Road and a left turn into the site. There's going to be appropriate storage and tapers to allow for cars on Perth Road to get out of the travel lane, be queuing, and then get into the site. There's also going to be some relief at Autumn Leaf Road. If you have been down Autumn Leaf Road recently, there's also a townhome project that's coming in at that corner, so there will be a right turn lane so that you're not waiting on someone to turn left to get onto Perth Road. I think that's pretty much it technically. So if you guys have any questions about the site plan or anything we're trying to do from an engineering standpoint, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
I have a question about, so I don't work in the gas station industry or oil, anything like that, so bear with me with my question if you don't mind. I'm assuming you guys are planning on keeping the oil under the ground, right? Buried?
That's correct.
Okay. So one concern I have as somebody that lives in the area is that the majority of the homes in this incredibly residential area run on well water. So, you know, if something were to happen to any of the tanks, if, you know, heaven forbid, I know it's probably rare, it would impact the drinking water, right?
So there is a permit that we have to get for underground storage tanks.
Okay.
There are separation requirements that the state has from underground storage tanks to water supply wells, which is what you'd have in your domestic setting. It's a water supply well. Additionally, I personally do not design the underground storage tanks, but Josh may be able to say that they'll be contained.
They're double wall tanks that are monitored 24/7. There's literally any second of the day you can see what's going on.
All right.
So I think
They're very well contained.
to address the concern, if there is a leak in these tanks, it's not, I would even go as far as say it's not going to be an instant infiltration into your groundwater, right? I mean, the wells that you're getting your water
So in
from.
other words, you got the main tank, right, and that's being monitored. You would know if that was leaking, and there's a second, a double layer that's encompassing all that stuff.
All right.
I don't want to say impossible, anything's
Okay.
possible. That's very, 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 very rare.
Double tank.
Yes, double wall.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Yep.
I have a question, please. Actually, two questions. The first one is, I appreciate y'all listening to the community about the car wash, but how were you able to pull the car wash out and still meet your budget? Because I'm sure there's a budget a fiscal plan for this investment to be profitable.
Sure, it's a longer payback, right? Just be honest, it's another revenue stream so I'm paraphrasing here, instead of making money in year 10, maybe you're making it in year 14.
I'm glad you said that, not me. Thank you for that. The second question is, what's the distance between the property and the home behind the property? Approximately. The only reason I'm saying that is because the evergreen trees, year-round screening is great, but that's not security. Security would be fence or something like that, I would think.
Yeah, yeah, and if there are, I think, as a part of this process and part of this meeting, if there are those kinds of additional buffering or screening concerns, we're, you know, I'm not gonna speak for Josh, but I think we're definitely open to hearing those and trying to, you know, I think what Josh is trying to communicate is we don't wanna be a burden on this community, and, you know, I think going above and beyond the minimum standard is what you'd see in any of their stores. So as we are working through this process, we've taken the feedback from our community meeting, and I think we'd definitely be open to taking feedback from this board as well.
Yeah, I mean, if that's, if a fence is a better solution than a burn or whatever, we'll work with whatever we need to do, as far as that goes. Within reason, of course.
Okay, oh, go ahead.
Just in regards to the lighting, I know you decreased the candle power. Did you look at any directional lighting, so it's not lighting pollution towards the neighbors in the back?
Yeah, I think that, along that back property line, that's where, you know, you actually have 0-foot candles. So a lot of these light fixtures are gonna be full cut off, like 180 degrees.
Okay.
So you're not, like, I'm gonna just walk up here and look right here. So the only areas where you're gonna have some limited lights are kind of back here on the very back, but even here at this property line, it's still 0-foot candles. So the lights that would likely be used back there would be little wall packs, just enough for security for the store. So, does that make sense?
Are they a shining down wall pack?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like full color.
It's
Okay.
come a long way from where we control a lot of where the lighting is now
Yep.
versus even 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
The buffering, the trees, there's some evergreens there now. Is that something you're planning on leaving and adding other things, or is it in the wrong place?
So what, the plan that has been generated incorporates a survey boundary. Once we get into fully engineered documents, the intent is to leave as many trees that are existing today as we can. So, as best, right, there's 20 feet there, so there's probably gonna need to be a little bit of grading to get the building pad established. If there's a small portion of sidewalk around the back of the building, that would need to be there, but the overall intent of the low-density watershed requirements are to keep your disturbance in your built-upon area down. So anything that we can preserve during site plan, we're definitely gonna do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe existing trees would also be credited towards the buffering requirements, so it'd be in the benefit of the applicant to preserve those as well.
We definitely want to keep them if we can. Same as for the residents, I'm sure.
All right, okay. Go ahead.
Okay. So, you know, back to the barrier question, you know, with so many families in these neighborhoods here, you know, I get that the trees are nice and all, but it doesn't really help with the safety concern. I mean, you're butting up to a cul-de-sac with quite a few young families there. I mean, you're talking about safety issues during construction, because I'm assuming you're not going to be able to, you know, pick something up and put it down in like a month or two, right? And then trees take a long time to grow, and that's assuming that the kids don't like trees, and I think we all know they're going to want to play with them. So you're still running into a massive safety concern there.
Is it a concern keeping kids out?
Yeah, because you've got how many houses here butting up to the property? I mean, you got 1, 2, 3 that directly touch it, and then, you know, any bleed off.
Yeah, and I want to jump in here. But I think something that we've utilized in the, you know, during construction, there will likely be a construction safety fence just to keep people out for safety reasons, and, you know, just generally to keep people who should not be on the job site in the job site. In the final condition, I think if, you know, something that we've done before is like the 8-foot tall privacy wood fence that would extend kind of inside of this buffer too.
Okay.
That's kind of like.
Kind of piggyback onto that, I don't know if you guys are familiar with J.R. there, he's Troutman, local builder, he's built numerous sites like this. Safety record's pretty impeccable, the reason we partner with people like that.
But I think, you know, definitely would be open to trying to establish some sort of harder barrier so that I don't think we want to propose something that's unsafe or create an environment on
Mhm.
site that's unsafe or unclean, right?
Mhm.
But there are public right-of-ways
Mhm.
along the majority of this frontage too.
Mhm.
So if, I grew up in Statesville, and if I wanted to get somewhere, I could figure out how to get there.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but definitely understand the concern.
Yes, trust me,
Mhm.
it's in all of our best interest to keep it clean and safe.
Yeah, just trying to juggle, I know, what you can do with the land, with the additional traffic, because obviously if a gas station's gonna be there, more people are gonna flock there, so,
And I think
yeah.
it's, I guess I'm gonna say this, but there are other ways that you could have designed this site. So talking specifically about traffic and maneuverability as it relates to the adjacent residential properties, the
Mhm.
layout could have been mirrored so that
Okay.
the canopy would have been directly up against these adjacent residential properties. So it's
Mhm.
kind of just the nature of the site plan process, working with the home run team, that, they wanted the canopy out front, but there's nothing that would prohibit that canopy and all of the traffic being to the rear. Does that make sense? So I think,
Okay.
we're trying to get there. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yeah, no, it's clear you guys have taken steps to get there, just some concerns that came to mind,
Those are-
yeah.
Thank you.
And what are the hours of operation?
Typically 5 AM to 11 PM, that can also vary. That's the largest section.
And are the pumps gonna be left on 24/7?
Not necessarily. We have the capability to do that, but we don't plan to do that.
Okay, so is there a commitment to a time?
Well, our typical hours are 5 to 11. Monday to Wednesday.
Because I seen on there that on some of the questions from the public, and it mentioned hours of operation, but I didn't see anything in here that told me what that was. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I think I'm telling you, it's on our list. I think it's 5 to 11 in every site, Monday through Friday, Saturday, Sundays, 6 to
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry, was it, you said 6 to 10?
on Sundays. Yeah. I can go back and look at the hair file now. I might be off an hour,
So you said Monday to Fridays, 5 to 11, Saturday and Sunday, 6 to 10?
Yes.
Does anyone else have any questions at this time? Yes, sir.
Does your wholesale business provide deliverables to your retail locations?
Yes, sir.
And will those trucks or vans or vehicles be allowed to be kept at the retail location? So the pumps
They're to drop fuel and keep moving.
and keep moving, okay. Will there be a trash dumpster?
Yes, sir.
How large?
Typically, I think they're 4 by 6, but I mean, we got it on, we got it.
Okay. And that'll have a, Andrew, if Perth goes to 4 lanes, will there already be language, or will there be future language for a mandatory turn lane for this property?
That will be looked at the time. There's no plans for Perth to go to 4 lanes, and with the, I'll say the slow pace of state roads being widened, I don't foresee that in the near future.
And there is a turn lane that's required into this site off of Firth, which is project.
And there's gonna be, I seen where Andrew was talking about it too, the right-of-way for future.
The mobility plan does outline improvements along Firth Road for this area. The neighbors on this plan that are planned west, will also have some input into that future roadway alignment. That's the graveyard.
So there's a turn lane, or there's the ability for approaching traffic from the rear of your vehicles to move around the passenger side on what otherwise would be an expanded shoulder?
So this is a diagram.
Just the one on Perth that turns left into the property. How does that one work?
So if you're driving on this diagram north in a 2-lane road, as you approach access B, I believe it's access B, there'll be a symmetrical roadway widening that would allow for
And will your refueling trucks have to come to the north and take that left, or can they always come to the south and take a right? So they're on the side of the property, always more conveniently turning in and out of the property. Can that be done as part of a route stop calculation or something?
And isn't there a bicycle lane in the land plan, Andrew?
There's a multi-use path along the north side of State Park Road.
Okay, so it's on the other side,
That's correct.
so that won't really affect them.
That's right.
All right, thank you. Anyone else have any questions? All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll probably have some more questions a little later. All right. I will now open the meeting for public comment. Anyone who would like to speak will need to sign in at the roster. Please direct your comments and concerns to the planning board. Please note the planning board, like Andrew said, is an advisory board only, making recommendations to town council. Town council will make all final decisions, and comments are limited to 3 minutes per person. And if maybe try to not repeat the same things if you got something to add for time frame. Is there anyone who would like to speak to this rezoning? Go ahead. The lady back there in the pink, I think. Okay.
My name is Don Lowe, 155 Park Crest Drive. I'm concerned here tonight. I heard a lot of maybes, I think, typicallys. I heard Mr. Farmer ask for a commitment that you didn't get. After the question was asked about leaks on tanks, one of my roommates Googled it. So I will ask that somebody dig into that, because the question was typed in, what percentage of times a gas station has had underground tanks leak into the soil? The answer is, and I'm quoting from Google, approximately 60% of all underground storage tanks have experienced at least one leak, causing significant soil and groundwater contamination. That's a big deal. I hope you look into that.
All right. Thank you.
Since I have more time. I've heard a lot of talk about the entrance from Perth Road. What I see when I look at that drawing is a new intersection being created, in addition to the impediment of all of the residential property neighboring that, which I don't, but I still care about those people. I hope you do. I see a new intersection being created between State Park Road and Perth Road. Somebody going east on State Park that wants to go south onto Perth will go through there. Somebody coming north on Perth wants to go west on State Park will go through there to avoid that dangerous intersection at the angle. It's already a complicated, and I'll say dangerous intersection, because I've had collision there. So to me, it's a big problem having that through traffic going through there. Count on it. It will be used. Finally, I would say that it's residential area, residential properties should stay residential. What was not talked about here today was where the septic area was going to be. I'd like for that to be discussed.
We will ask that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hicks, and I live at 915 Perth Road, which is directly across the road. That's what I'm gonna see. And my concern is they're talking about planting trees on the sides and the back, and I want some trees in the front. I don't wanna just look at a building and a gas tank and people coming and going. And my other concern is, I already cannot get out of my driveway. If any of y'all are ever seeing me sit there, please let me out. I can't get out of my driveway, and now you're gonna put a turning lane and a straight lane right in front of my house. So that, to me, I'd rather people go through the store than do the right thing, because I'm not gonna be able to get out of my driveway. So those are my two concerns, and again, I live right in front of the place, and it's just not what I would like to see. I enjoy seeing houses, people enjoying their yards, and I feel like, can we not do something for the community that would be residential? Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Roberta Lowe, 155 Park Crest, Troutman. My husband asked about the in and out that was being spoken about on Perth. On State Park, though, the in, is that also an out? Can you speak to that? Okay, so what happens when you're trying to turn left? And there are people who are lined up, who are going to go right. There's also, as Mr. Van Truska said, there's a biking lane. So there's not been any provision made at that ingress and egress to make sure that when you turn left onto State Park, out of the home run or the whatever's gonna be here, you can't see, it's possible that you wouldn't be able to see oncoming cars because there's traffic waiting. And then you're pulling out, and the possibility of being slammed this way has not been addressed.
Okay, well,
And so, I mean, I think some accommodation would need to be made so that that isn't a possibility.
okay,
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, they've put a designated right hand or a left hand going on to Perth, but coming onto State Park, there's nothing. It's a free-for-all.
Okay, we'll
It's dangerous.
ask,
It's
give them,
dangerous now.
we'll give them time to think about that and then answer that here at the end. Anyone else?
And is anyone going to speak to where the septic system's going to be?
Yes, we're writing this down and we're gonna ask that'll make it flow faster.
Hi, my name's Craig Edwards. I live on Wildlife Road. Glad to see the town manager here today and a couple of the representatives so that they can get a feel of how the community feels about this. I'd like to approach this for just a second.
Sure.
So I think this is all blurred, but I think in your agenda packet, if I'm not mistaken, y'all correct me if I am, maybe will. This is the sewer field. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. So we've got houses here. We have an industrial sewer field here. If you look online, you can see anything online, but you see that each gas pump at a convenience mart generates approximately 500 gallons of sewer a day. Don't know where they get that figure, don't know how it is. That's an accepted engineering norm. If you've got 12 gas pumps, multiply it by 500, that's a lot of sewer going in there. You've got your dumpster here, right behind these guys' house. I've lived near a dumpster. 5 a.m., big metal plane, that's not too swift. Someone mentioned cut-throughs. Great point. I drive a motor home. It's a little motor home. It's 24 feet. For me to come here and make this turn, my wife comes out here and blocks the road for me. And I pray to the good Lord that there's nobody coming this way, or at least they're nice and stop and let me make this turn. If I'm late on the state park and I'm leaving one of those 40-some campsites, hey, I'm gonna stay right through here and go down through there. Because why in the world would I want to go up here and risk that? Talked about traffic. You talked about traffic mitigation. In the TIA, there's a 100-foot traffic stacking lane. The average SUV in the United States is 20 feet. So we're going to stack 5 cars right here. Something else. If you're coming north on Perth Road, and we can probably all agree that the majority of the population that's going here is coming from here. You're going north on Perth Road and you're going to turn in here. That's cool, that's good. You got a turn in lane, you go in here. But then you're going into Troutman, you're going to take your kid to school, or maybe you're going to Cats, or maybe you're going to Cats back. Where are you going to leave? You can't come in up here and make a left-hand turn. At least you're not supposed to. Like down at Dario, you get crashed. So you're going to come here. And you're going to go out this way. And you're only going to stack 5 cars here. Well, you're going to come here and turn left. They're all going to be stacked up. You can't get out. This is a horrible location. I love Andrew. He's a fantastic planner. But I disagree with him 100%, or whoever wrote the staff recommendation, that that property is not good for residential. By right, you can build 8 houses on that property at a ½ acre each. If you go down Perth Road 1,000 yards, there's $500,000 and $600,000 and $700,000 houses being built there right now. 800,000. I worry about the security, Ms. Cummins. One thing I'd love to see the council research. This comes from my past. I'm retired state law enforcement. How many alcohol violations has this company had? I can tell you with a quick Google search, they've had at least 1. I can't tell you any more than that, but I know that one.
Never even crossed my mind.
I don't even understand why they would want to come and drop a commercial piece of property in the middle of total residential. You saw the zoning map today. There's no commercial anywhere around it. Besides stuff that's been there 50 years, it makes 0 sense. I mean, you might could think about it a little bit and maybe know why, but that's another whole story. But it makes 0 sense. Probably, you know, one of the other justifications in your staff recommendation is that this property is unkept. So it would be better if we built a service station there. No. It's outside the county, the city ETJ. We can't do anything about it. Well, let's pick up the phone and call our counterparts at the county and say, hey, we're having complaints about an unkept piece of property down here. Can y'all handle it? It's outside our ETJ. Instead of building a service station. And then if you go, when you start looking at your consistency statements, so your consistency statement says that, let's see, should be developed in a non-scale residential development, would also provide a service to the local population. Local population's not asking for a service. The minutes from the community meeting were written by the applicant, but, and I'm sure they're all true and fully vetted. But one of the things that was mentioned at that meeting was there's no desire. There's no need. You've got Perth Bait and Tackle. You've got 4 service stations in downtown. You've got 3 service stations down at the interstate. The plan, the UDO, actually says the goal of the town is to fill in between Troutman and exit 42, which is a fantastic plan, and I'm for it 100%. Let's build everything you can build at exit 42, because that's a nice place. That's what Mooresville did. Mooresville downtown used to be 10 miles from where shopping and everything is now. Everything moved to the interstate. Troutman can do the same thing. But I could go on, but I know my time's up. I'm just saying, there's absolutely zero reason to approve that. And if you use the correct mindset of, is there a reason to approve it, not is there a reason to disprove it, and you tally up reasons to approve, no reasons to approve, you'll find that reason to approve shows zero. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We have anyone else?
I haven't heard anyone discuss how, especially the immediate surrounding
You have
houses,
to come up here if you're gonna.
how it's gonna affect the value of the homes immediately surrounding. This is my backyard right here.
So state your name, please.
Tim Hanson, this is my backyard. There you go. How is this gonna affect the value of my home? I'll tell you how. It's step one into turning this place into a ghetto. That's what's gonna happen. The value of all these homes is gonna go down. The houses are all gonna decline. They're just gonna let it all go to crap if you let something like this move in. This is ridiculous that we're even here.
My name is Greg Peterson. I live down Morrison Farm Road, so I live a little bit away from this property. But I'm here to support the property owners that live directly next to it, because the current zoning's residential. The 2019 strategic plan was residential. The future land use plan is residential. I was part of the group that changed from medium density housing to lake use residential, specifically to avoid these kinds of problems. So I find it amazing that 4 years later, here we are looking at it, and people are talking about putting a gas station in a residential area. And I'm specifically concerned about the fact that the first time I'm hearing about a new loophole in zoning is at this meeting, when the prior town manager brought forth something that the town council approved without public input. And the first time we're actually hearing it brought forth is for a property that he himself owns, to create a loophole in a public process. So I feel that there's a lot of community spirit here that are all saying, what in the world are we doing? Because the strategic plan, which was so fantastic back in 2019, was the result of people coming together and sharing their vision of the future of this community. And all I've been hearing for the last 5 years is exceptions and ways that people can shoot holes in that plan, and one-offs. And this is the biggest one-off that I've ever seen. This is the turn into the state park, for Pete's sake. And some of us who have been here long enough remember when that corner property was wooded, and it was beautiful, and it was absolutely appropriate for residential use. And then you clear it, and you turn it into a dumping ground for a bunch of piles of dirt, and then you make the argument of, gee, somebody needs to clean this up, let's turn it into a gas station.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gary Nelson. I own the piece of property, the little rectangle right up there in the top right there. And most of my issues have already been voiced very eloquently. I don't want to waste time rehashing those, but I do want to voice my concern with traffic. I do think traffic is a huge, huge item that wasn't addressed well. When you come out of there at 5 o'clock in the evening, it backs up, and it's a mess, and it's a blind turn, and there's so many issues that's already been talked about. So I worry about that. The lighting, I understand the lighting is indirect, but it's still going to illuminate a large area. And when you look out your windows, that whole area is going to be illuminated. And you would have to be, to keep theft down and all the other stuff down, you're going to have to illuminate it 24 hours a day. You can't turn the lights off. You're going to get vandalism. And the other thing that's already been brought up is property values. I think property values will plummet. And foot traffic. You're going to have tons of foot traffic. coming from other neighborhoods walking to the gas station. And there's not sidewalks on Perth. So you're going to get a lot of that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Allison Peterson. I live down Morrison Farm Road, and I appreciate what everybody has said today and agree with it completely. I'd like to add one thought, and that is that the residents of the community and those moving into the community depend upon the town to communicate what their plan is to do with empty properties. We rely on the strategic plan, we rely on the land use plan to make purchase decisions about our property. And if we cannot rely on the town to live up to what they say they're gonna do, then you are putting everyone at risk. What's to say if you approve this, that somebody doesn't show up a month from now and say, I wanna put something down State Park Road, or I wanna put something else on Perth Road, some kind of commercial property. What's gonna stop you from approving that? I don't know. We need to rely on you to stand up for us, and I'm not sure that's happening.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hi there, my name's Rich Meyer. I own 131 State Park Road. That's right behind, directly, that's a parcel right behind the building right there. That being said, there's people that live in that house that are gonna be right behind that fueling station. And I would be remiss if I didn't come up and at least try to talk to you people about that. Thank you for the job that you do anyway here and the decisions you have to make. That being said, everybody's made a very good point of all the many issues between the groundwater, the lighting. The lighting in particular around all this particular area is going to be bad, as that gentleman said. Because at the end of the day, what this drawing doesn't show are the houses. And there's people living in all those houses around there. And this is going to be so impactful in their life. Not to mention what the previous gentleman said about property value. But because of those reasons, I'm here to, vehemently oppose the zoning of this project. And just want to let that known. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm not a public speaker or anything like that. In fact, I'm very nervous being in front of people. But I live right behind there. Where my son is at. I'm right here. Okay.
Will you state your name, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Cheryl Hansen. I live at 113 Pinecroft Road. We're the first road off of State Park in the cul-de-sac there, so we're right behind there. I'm worried about so many things. My son said property values. I'm worried about the fuel tanks. I'm worried about the sewer system. I'm worried about security. I'm worried about the lighting. I love Troutman. That's why we moved here over 40 years ago. About 46 years ago, I love Troutman. We built our house a little over 30-some years ago, back when it was all the woods, that gentleman said. And we were told that that was a piece of land that was worthless because of the runoff and everything like that. So we were very comfortable building our house there. I'm 68 years old now. My husband's 71. We just paid off our house last January. Now you're gonna do this to us. Thank you. I don't appreciate that. Security, lighting, everything. I wanna sell. I wanna get out of Troutman because of this. I will not support this gas station. We already have perf bait and tackle. Why do we need this gas station here? And causing all this commotion, security, everything. I'm just so upset about it. And I vehemently disagree with this decision.
All right.
So.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Hey, my name is Brandon Schulman. I'm going to stay up here, 130 State Park Road. I take a guess that at least 95% of you know where I live. I don't know if anyone else are horticultural experts, but what are currently planted here are Thuja plicata, which is a western red cedar, and the way that Home Run Markets is gonna get around actually adhering to the buffer is they're going to keep all those trees there. They're like 4 feet tall. So you can expect to actually see your buffer for all the properties that are joining it in about 15 years. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, just look, we're all a family in Troutman, and I actually wrote this down that they want to bring their family legacy in a Troutman, but why not take into account what Troutman wants? Troutman does not want their family legacy. All due respect to Home Run Markets, but let's keep Troutman the way that we all want it, which is family oriented. And this property right here for a gas station is unacceptable. I mean, I'm very much impacted by it, but by all the property owners around. So that's all I got. I appreciate everyone coming and supporting, because it means a lot to me. And thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, my name is James Olmsted. I live down in Wildlife Bay, right next to actually inside the state park. It's one of the reasons I moved down here. A few things I wanted to point out that I have concerns about. The operation hours during the informational meeting, they mentioned 7 to 11, I believe. So I'm not sure where this 5 a.m. comes from, but being dead set in the middle of a residential area, starting businesses at 5 a.m. is really not something I think anybody's interested in. A few things they mentioned in the informational meeting: they would not sell diesel because they didn't want larger trucks in the facility. Well, let's keep in mind about the larger trucks. You have the trash truck that's going to come in and probably empty the dumpster before business hours. Where I live at the state park, across the water, I can hear them emptying the dumpsters over at the group campground at whatever time in the morning. You've got the gasoline trucks delivering. You've got the chip trucks. You've got the food trucks because they've got a deli there. You're going to have the Cisco truck, the Coke truck, the Pepsi truck. There's going to be a lot of traffic just of trucks coming in and out of there. So you need to consider that. Another thing that is unique to this, State Park has about 1 million visitors a year. They have campers going in and out, both motorhomes and towable campers, plus all the boats and trailers. Think about on the weekends. The way this is situated on the corner with the ingress and egress, people trying to get around. I mean, luckily they got rid of the car wash, because that's the first thing I said. If you've got people coming in on the weekends, pulling trailers, that's going to be a logistical nightmare. Another thing about the lighting, although they're talking about the static lighting of the building, what you have to realize is all the cars turning in, turning around the pumps at night, sweeping all the houses, specifically across State Park. And then you have the few that come in and decide they don't want to turn off their stereo and they want to run it with the bass bumping it the whole time. The other thing is most of these current gas pumps have advertisements in it. So while you're pumping gas, you have a video and audio blaring the whole time you're pumping gas. Some of the gas pumps that I've figured out, you can hit certain buttons to actually mute the actual audio. The one at the BP they got rid of, and the audio is so loud it drives you crazy while you're actually pumping gas. So there's a whole lot of disruption to the residential community. I don't necessarily live up that close. I'm here to support all the homeowners around there, but it's also the traffic. Even coming up here this evening, traffic stacked up that chances are if somebody would block the entrance, somebody coming in to turn left from State Park, they're going to stack up. That's going to turn into a gridlock intersection. The other thing that I see happening, although they talk about putting a left turn lane coming from Mooresville on Perth, somebody pulling trailers or people stacking up trying to get in there, you have a bunch of cars coming from Mooresville, they end up getting stuck at the light, then you've got a train that runs all the way into downtown Troutman. I can't count how many times that I've been stuck backed up past the post office, trying to make the light on Main Street. So what you guys may not realize is, although this is on the edge of Troutman, what it's gonna do to downtown Troutman. It's not gonna be pretty. And the area is only gonna continue to grow. And I'm not even gonna, I mean, you've even got a 94-acre section that's not developed yet between the mini mart and the cemetery. You got 134 townhouses planned and already approved going in across from the mini mart at, you know, I guess it's, I don't know where it goes from Perth to Wagner, but that's gonna be crazy. Then just the noise, disruption, and traffic, regardless of when they're gonna build. That's gonna be, you know, I don't know, 6 months of chaos, at least. So I hope everybody would take this into consideration. I agree that this should be residential. It'd be one thing if it was being rezoned from residential, low density of 3 or 4 houses to residential higher density of, like, you know, a couple townhomes, you know, maybe eight homes in there. This is a radical departure I don't think anybody's interested in. So that's all I've got to say.
Thank you.
I'll do the same thing, I'll stand right here. My name's Tony Baker, I live in 116 Nutmeg Lane, which is this neighborhood right back here. I agree with everything said, this should stay residential. And I just wanted to recommend, why not the city just buy this little triangle piece right here and have something come in like this here, with that median with some nice, you know, landscaping there. And then you have a nice flow of traffic, and the city's investing in that corner, making it a better traffic corner. Rather than.
Thank you. Is there anyone else? Okay, would the applicant, we've got a couple of questions and the mention of trees in front. I know you can't have trees blocking the view. And the power lines are there.
I'm not sure DOT will be.
So, there is a street yard that's required, so there's, because of the overhead power lines, there will be one tree every 30 feet. And they will be required to be understory trees that would not get as tall as your large maturing trees. So the kind of, the dots around the perimeter of the property are the required street yard plantings that the town has in place. The dots are trees.
The trees are bushes.
There'll be trees.
How tall?
I believe the town has minimum planting requirements. I think they have to be 2-inch caliper and a minimum of 8 feet at planting. So as the gentleman indicated, the 4-foot tall trees.
No, so what I was indicating was is that there's an existing screen there.
Yeah, and I don't think that those existing smaller trees would meet the minimum requirements for the buffer that's required. So those trees may be there and they may be preserved, but they would not count towards the minimum buffering requirements. Does that make sense? So there would need to be additional trees that would meet the minimum requirements.
Okay, yeah. And the septic tank location, which I think it was down in that, can you show us?
Yeah, so currently the septic is planned for the bottom right-hand corner that you're seeing. Again, to address some of the concerns about the volume of wastewater, removing the car wash helps with that. And then what's going on inside the store, you know, they're advanced treatment systems like panel block systems that provide a very significant amount of treatment to the wastewater that leaves facility. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with panel block systems, but the actual detailed septic design has not been completed as a result of kind of getting through this process.
But you'll have a restaurant inside with sinks and stuff, right?
Yeah, Josh can probably speak to how it works, but there is food preparation that's going to happen inside. There will be an oil water separator in line between the building and the septic field that will, you know, kind of reduce, again, kind of that pollutant volume. It's pretty typical for commercial food operations to have a oil water separator.
Does this work? This works does it still work kind of like your home septic system? Once you take that out of it,
That's exactly right.
it's a leach field.
That's correct. You can do traditional drip systems or panel block systems that are much more efficient. So just depending on the results of the on-site soil analysis, that'll sort of dictate the final septic design. But it's no different than what you would require here if you were to develop 8 single-family homes. Because there's no sewer, you would then have 8 separate septic systems that produce more volume cumulatively than what you have here.
Yeah,
Does that make
that's
sense?
definitely
So there's no, did I answer that?
But your runoff, how is your runoff contained from, because I know the QT down there beside one of my businesses, they have a sand filter, a huge sand filter they had to put in to manage all the runoff. Where is that being managed?
So you can answer that, but you've got to speak to us, and then, because we don't want things to get out of hand. But yes, you can go ahead and answer that for him.
So as a part of the low density stormwater requirements, the requirement is that you, in instances where you would have like a sand filter or a stormwater control measure, you're typically in a high density development applications, which means your built upon area exceeds the low density threshold requirements. So you'll see like a sand filter or a wet pond or a bio retention basin or other measures to provide treatment for your stormwater runoff. In this instance, there was concern, or there was mention during the public comment about how the drainage happens through the site. We will be required to receive the drainage that comes under State Park and navigate it to the right-of-way along Perth Road. There will not be any sort of above-ground stormwater control measure that you would see. The stormwater treatment that's going to be provided is reducing the built-upon area to be underneath the low-density thresholds.
Okay, and the question about the left turn out of,
Yeah, so I think I'm gonna ask Andrew if he's comfortable coming up and giving some input on the traffic analysis and the driveways, but specifically, I think that was mentioned about the realignment of Perth Road or State Park Road to Perth Road. Again, you know, with the site plan, you see that we've tried to be intentional. When we worked with the state for our TIA, we worked with the town that should the state have spot safety money available, or, you know, the state desires, or powers that be desire to realign that intersection, that there's room on this site to accommodate that. But that was not an improvement identified in the TIA, so I think Andrew can speak to some of your traffic distribution patterns and some of the pass-by traffic that's already present in the town that would be utilizing this facility.
thank you.
Hey, good afternoon. Yeah, Andrew Eagle with Kimley Horn. We're the town's traffic consultant that performed the TIA. Be glad to answer any questions, specific questions y'all have.
You heard the question.
I guess, did you understand what the lady was talking about, the left turn?
So the left turn heading out State Park Road.
Yes.
And not being able to see towards the signal when there's a queuing of traffic.
Right.
Yeah, I see that concern. Looking at our analysis, there are times when the maximum queue there would probably be 175 feet is what our analysis was showing. Other times, average queue was closer to about 75 feet. So yeah, there would be some delay when you're waiting for cars to get to Perth Road and that queue to dissipate when you'd be waiting so you could see properly.
All right. Does anyone, y'all have any questions?
Are the posted speed limits going to be revised on either one of the right-of-ways there?
No, the posted speed limits would stay. That's state maintained. And
I think what he was addressing was leaving the proposed site and turning right onto State Park headed toward Perth. That wasn't the point that was made by my wife. It was
Yes.
Yeah, this is what I was speaking of. If you're sitting here trying to turn left on State Park, you've got to look back towards the signal to see if any vehicles are coming your way. And if they're stacked up at the signal, that can get in your way of seeing if vehicles are coming your way. That's what I was.
How many feet is it from that intersection to the entrance?
No,
How many feet is it from the intersection to the entrance?
I do not know. Do you know how many feet it is?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
Do you all know?
Why wouldn't we know that?
Seriously?
It's
Without, it's the maximum that we could push it. DOT would not allow that driveway to be any closer to that intersection. So it's been pulled down to the maximum extent practical.
And the other one, there was another one, but you took it out and moved it as far down as,
Correct. Both accesses are pushed as far away from the signalized intersection as possible. I could approximate, based on building. The building itself is 50 feet wide, so 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. It's a minimum of 250 feet from the intersection on State Park Road. Just eyeballing, but it's probably more than that.
Can you add a right turn only at the top of the apex? An egress for right turn only at the top of the egress.
An additional driveway?
An additional egress out, but it's right turn only.
So Andrew can kind of piggyback on this. I can't speak for the DOT because they're not here, but they would not allow an access.
Yeah, you wouldn't want it that close to the stop
Because
bar.
you would get left-hand turners in there, even if you couldn't have an abutment or something in the division of the roadway itself, so a right-hand only turn out of that apex onto that intersection would not be allowable,
So
as long as you could restrict the left-hand ingress.
You're talking about adding a driveway so that they can turn right?
Only right.
Only right out, close to the stop bar?
Yes.
And that's nothing that DOT would not allow that. You don't want that, any driveways that close to your stop bar where vehicles are stopped.
yeah, we have, there's one there, so, it's as far back as you can put it, so.
And some of the concerns about sight distance, I've drawn in your sight distance along Perth Road. It's that bigger dashed black line. So we'll be required to show the state as part of our driveway permits that with the driveways, the minimum sight distance requirements. We probably don't want to get into pass-by traffic. It may be helpful for the board to understand the volume of
Right.
traffic that's existing on these roadways.
Yeah, for a gas, excuse me, for a gas station site, a lot of the trips are pass-by trips, which are trips that are already there on State Park Road or on Perth Road that'll be turning into the site and then going on to their destination. So it's not considered a new trip that's coming to the site and then leaving. It's ones that's already passing by there anyway.
All right, you got a question?
Oh, I don't have a question. That was Daisy.
I've got a question.
I'm curious what time frame this traffic study was done in. Was it done during the summer months?
It has to be done, I think, during school.
Yeah, the traffic studies are always done when schools are in session. We look at 2 hours during the AM and 2 hours during the PM and pick the highest peak hour in that time frame.
Yeah, I'm curious about the traffic to the state park in the summer, because there's 1 million visitors a year, and I'm gonna guess 800,000 of them are between May and September.
And weekends.
That's not one of the required
Yeah,
times, I don't think.
The
I agree.
The school traffic and work traffic is really typically what draws the higher volumes.
Okay, all right. No, wait a minute. We can't, we're gonna have to close the public comment time, because we can't keep asking or y'all can't keep asking questions. We're gonna have to try to do that.
Are there any other controversy, other questions on this?
No, I was just gonna ask a general question, not because of this, but, with the TIA, is that always that way with a, gas station, that you're coming that way anyway and you pull in?
Yeah, Institute of Transportation Engineers, they publish a manual, trip generation manual, where they go out, they collect data from different types of land uses, and look at, how many trips that's gonna generate based off the square footage of the building, based off the number of pumps. They do it for all different kinds of land uses, so sometimes it's based on the number of houses, that kind of thing. And they also look at the pass-by trips of, okay, this generates X number of trips, and this percentage of that was a pass-by trip. Yeah, that's standard throughout the nation. Yes, yeah.
Thank you. I think everybody has probably had a chance to ask the question or speak their mind, I think. And one time is really all have you spoken?
I have not spoken.
Okay. Well,
Debbie Kleinbergen, I live down Morrison Farm. I don't directly live around this, but what people are saying is this is residentially zoned. We live here because we want to live in a residential area, not a commercial area. So please keep it residential. They can go through lighting, septic, water concerns, safety concerns. So keep it residential. That's what we're saying. Thank you.
thank you. All right, is there anyone else that hadn't spoken?
I have one quick question. I'm Ron Deering, I live in Ashmore Circle. I did not hear the size of the underground tanks and how many of them,
Okay.
the storage tanks for your
All
fuel.
right, we'll ask that.
And where it's gonna be located on that property.
Okay.
Thank you.
My name's Kim Epstein, I live down Morrison Farm. My question is, we've not heard any solid answers to anything that well, some things, but majority of what we've asked are a lot of, we'll look into. When do we get the answers back before the March meeting? When do you guys get the answers back? When do we know what the answers are to all these questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else that hadn't spoken?
Yeah, my name's Gary Hanson. Live, that house is gonna be in the backside of this. I have a question about the runoff. The water, comes from the ditch across the, would be the west side, excuse me, of, State Park Road. And there's a culvert that goes underneath, and the water flows across the center of the, property pretty much. Is there gonna be any kind of containment potentially, if needed, for any runoff from any oils or whatever might be on this property? Since it goes downhill, pretty much through the whole property?
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
My name is Chris Nickel. I live on Old Springway on
If you,
Sixth
if you
Street.
would come up here where we can hear you.
My name is Chris Nickel, and I live on Old Springway Lane off of Hicks Creek. And I'm here in support of the residents that live as close as I've heard some of you say tonight. And like your comments, please, it's residential. Please preserve that. That's the expectation of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Kate Deary. I live on Ashmore Circle, so I'm away from the fray. I have just one statement after hearing everything that we've heard here tonight. In the transactional world that we live in now, who stands to benefit by this particular building there? It's pretty clear that the residents do not stand to benefit by it. That is something that I think has to be at the very foundation of your decision.
Thank you. Anyone else that hasn't spoken? All right. We'll now close the public comment time. And we've got a few more questions. Okay. About the tank size and location.
So I think preliminarily we're planning on two 10,000-gallon tanks for this site. The tanks will likely be planned north of the canopy.
Okay. And runoff, I believe you all spoke about that. I don't think there's any containment. It's just.
Correct. We'll receive the water that's coming onto the site, whether it be from State Park Road or from the adjacent residential properties, and allow that to pass through the site just as it is today. And it may not be in the exact same location. Of course, we'll have to use ditches
Correct.
to get it around our proposed development, but it will be managed.
All right. Is there any other questions from the board?
I just have one more.
Okay.
Just one more question. Is concrete containment feasible for your two 10,000-gallon tanks?
I'm not sure if that's typical. I'm going to ask you about that.
That's not a typical. But I would say to the, I noticed a Google search brought up earlier about the safety of tanks is significantly safer than it was however long ago that stat that was mentioned. If we don't, any new tanks, I don't know that 60% of them are safe.
What seismic zone are we in? What seismic zone are we in? Because whether or not you have a concrete containment is always and absolutely distinguishable about your seismic zone. And we are not in a high-impact seismic zone. We're not in San Francisco, where I came from when I sat at the same table. Yeah.
Okay, one thing I noticed on the drawing, and I'm sure it's probably an omission on it, it doesn't have the auto car wash removed out of the statement in the, over on the.
I'm sorry. Could you say that one more time?
It doesn't have the auto wash removed from the list over there of, I'm having a hard time reading this because I got a bigger copy, but it's still small.
The intent is to not.
I knew it was, but okay. And I noticed that bike parking, there was none.
Yeah, so it's my understanding, I'm not sure if text amendments come before the planning board through the town, but I think that recently there was a text amendment that changed the parking requirements for commercial applications and uses specifically less than 10,000 square feet.
That didn't impact bike parking. You'd still be required a bike rack.
Okay. So I think the plan that you're looking at, I think the bike parking is based on the amount of required auto parking. So at the time that this plan was prepared, because the commercial use was less than 10,000, based on the way the ordinance read, there was actually no auto parking that was required. So if the bike parking was 20% or whatever it was of required auto.
10%, I think.
It's 10%. 10% of zero at the time that this plan was prepared was zero. But if, moving into the final engineering, if bike parking is going to be required based on the recent text amendment that requires commercial parking for uses under 10,000 square feet, those will be added at that time. That was like a kind of a nerdy answer. Does that make sense?
it's a conditional zoning, so if you say you was gonna put 2, you can put 2.
Correct. Correct.
And
Yeah,
you
we'll
would-
provide the minimum bike parking.
No, I mean, even if it doesn't require it, you can agree to put 2.
Agreed. Yeah, I think we can agree to bike parking.
And which would be the 10% of what a little, I mean, you can't have half a bike.
Be a unicycle parking.
The buffering, I don't think it's adequate. And there needs to be, you mentioned an 8-foot fence. And it's so close to the neighbor. I have concerns there. And the one lot where your actual building was originally, it was a home lot. So I'm sure that the person that built the house or has the house behind it expected another house to go in there, if anything, not a business.
I think that property was released from the.
It was properly released from the restricted covenants of the development before that point was reached. So it is of record and of notice that it was not a residential tract anymore.
But it was when the people purchased the lot beside it.
I can't say for sure about that, but it was revised properly under the restricted covenants to terminate the residential restriction on the property. And I'd have to go back and look at the record, but I think it was done with the consent of all the people that was necessary in order to do that. I'm Cliff Holmesley, by the way, I'm the attorney for these people, but yes, sir.
All right. Thank you. Do you don't know the date on that?
It was quite some time ago. Certainly it's on the public record. I don't have that document with me, but we can pull that and provide it to the town. But it was terminated very clearly on the record.
Okay. Does anyone? Okay. Thank y'all.
I think there's room to try to increase.
And how much can you increase the buffer?
What would be your preference?
Well, if you're not having a car wash there, that area is free.
Yeah, and
So you could move further away from the houses.
I think that the way the buffer is measured perpendicular to the property line, I think looking at the way that the site plan lays out, I think we could probably get from the minimum 20 feet to 30 feet without greatly requiring a redesign to the conditional plan that you see before you. I think that, I mean, 1.5 times the minimum buffer with the inclusion of the 8-foot privacy opaque screen for the length of the buffer. And we could look at some kind of a multiplier on the planting requirements, but that's not, the 8-foot privacy screen is really going to be the prominent screening and security feature that would be included.
Yeah, I mean, I really do have some of the same concerns they do about this being residential and the uses for the commercial. I'm concerned about it. In fact, I've got something here from last year when this new LC district, I'm gonna read something out of the, it's out of the staff report, but staff has identified a gap in the current districts as they do not address smaller properties under 3 acres on thoroughfares that are not suitable for high-intensity commercial uses permitted in the HB district, nor are they compatible with the characteristic of the typical CB district standards. Therefore, staff is recommending a new zoning district aimed toward lower-intensity commercial and service uses with the intent of serving the local area where it would be located. And this is more than 3 acres, and I'm afraid that it's going to be maybe too much of a, maybe too big, too much of a commercial thing in this residential, totally residential area. I'm very concerned about that.
I guess I would say similar to what we did with the community meeting, you know, we definitely want to make sure we're taking that feedback, even trying to figure out a way to accommodate an even larger buffer into consideration before this plan goes before the board. So, you know, we appreciate any recommendations or preferences that this board has too, because this is a two-way.
And I'm also concerned about hours of operation, with it being residential, the noise, I know I'm sure the fence would definitely help being solid. But it's not gonna help the people across the street.
You know, Josh and I just talked about that too briefly, but you know, there are ways to prevent some of that headlight pollution with, you know, like a smaller planting strip around the perimeter to even more so screen what's going on inside of this site from the people that are across. So we, you know, we're gonna make our best effort to try and incorporate some of those concerns. And it's my understanding that a lot of the deliveries and trash is privatized. So those can, as a part of the conditions for this rezoning, the revised conditions that we bring before the board, Andrew, I think we still have time to revise the conditions that we're gonna apply to this plan. And those could certainly include screening around the paved areas internal to the lot, you know, the increased buffering requirements that we're talking about, and a commitment to scheduling deliveries.
Yeah, we've got plenty of sites where they're only dropping fuel during the day and not at 2 in the morning, you know, things of that nature. We have to work around, whether it's sharing with another business, you know, we've got some sites like that, or residential areas.
Yes, sir.
Would you be open to, instead of off-hauling the soils that are removed for the tank locations, to relocating those to create berms of a particular height and comfort, where you would be building then on top of the berms?
Yeah, you know, the fencing can typically be placed on top of a berm, to take that 8-foot fence to a 12-foot screen on a 4-foot berm or a 5-foot berm.
And real quickly, Andrew, are we going from an HB to a CZLC
No.
transition, or aren't we going from an RS to a CZLE?
It's an RS.
Okay.
Okay, but I know near the road, you're not gonna be able to block the view, so that's,
Yeah, correct. I'm talking specifically around the neighboring properties on this plan to the south. I think there's opportunities to provide that increased screen. We are required to do the street trees that you see there. And then I'm just gonna walk up here again. Josh, you tell me. Right. I think it's typical in some of these commercial applications that you have like a hedgerow that runs along the edge of the pavement. So that, you know, typically those are 3 foot high minimum of planting. So you have some evergreen shrubs, some Buford hollies or something similar that would actually, you know, block headlights.
Yeah, once again, I'd reference the site right up on Amity Hill Road. I mean, planting stuff there, you know, and that's on the interstate. So obviously, we're gonna go above and beyond what you guys want for this site.
And so I think the more intelligent folks behind me have been noting all these requirements, and it's not our intent to take the feedback that we're getting tonight and go to the board with the exact same plan that you're looking. So I think the intent of this meeting is to get you all's feedback and input and incorporate it into the plan and bring that before the board for their consideration.
I think it would at least need to be a minimum of 50-foot buffer and a 8-foot fence.
We could take a look at that, see if it works with the site layout. But yeah, we'd appreciate that recommendation.
With sidewalks, Randy?
Sidewalks are required by ordinance unless the town council decides not to have them, but they are required by ordinance.
I think currently the plan is due to the proximity of existing sidewalks, there is language in the UDO for a fee in lieu. On this site in particular, you'd end up with the sidewalk to nowhere situation. So there are prescriptions in the ordinance that allow the applicant to meet the requirements for sidewalks by paying the fee in lieu. So at the town's discretion, they can use them for repairs or additional infill sidewalks in the town, however Public Works or whomever makes that decision.
The fee in lieu does have to be approved by the town council.
So the town council could say, okay, we want the sidewalk, is that correct?
The town council can go whatever direction they'd like.
On the plan, but you have before you, we are proposing the fee in lieu option.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
They don't throw anything at me from behind. And I totally respect everybody's opinion in this room. I had more positive feedback from this site than a lot. So there's a lot of people in this community that I know do want this and feel like they need this. And I appreciate that.
Give us some names.
They should be here supporting you then.
So anyway, I just want to thank you for your time. I know it's a tough, zoning's always a tough thing, so thanks for working with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Do y'all have any? The public comment time is closed.
But he made a statement on something that I said, and he was wrong.
The public comment time is closed.
About what AI indicated.
The public,
It was 2023, and you're right, it could be wrong, that's why I asked you to look into it. It could be wrong, it could be more. Thank you.
all right. Do y'all have any other discussion between us?
Yep. You guys don't mind. So thank you for the lovely books. It's a great presentation. But with that being said, the pictures that you have here, those are like a downtown scene, right? It's not that. You know, it's not a bunch of houses around it. We've heard from way too many homeowners and families in this room that have legitimate concerns ranging from water to sewage to noise pollution, sound pollution, or light pollution, traffic, probably an increase in crime because, I mean, we all know what happens at gas stations at night. And because of that and because all these folks also, bought these homes with the understanding that they'd be in a residential area, it honestly would be, it would disenfranchise these people, and it would put them at risks that obviously we don't have answers to right now. So I think it actually becomes an immoral decision if we were to accept this. I think we have to do right by the citizens, not by a company, and I do appreciate you guys coming down. I really do, and it's a really great looking building, but safety should be at the forefront of our decision-making, I believe. And I don't see this as being a safe decision, at least for the time being.
And, Mr. Chairman, if I can caveat on what Laura said, the second paragraph of the recommendation says, while the proposal does not meet the 2 to 3 single-family resident units as stated in the special lakes uses, the location of this site is at the intersection of 2 major thoroughfares and may not be conducted to the residential uses. This sounds to me like an exception to policy. And I've been on the board since 2019, and we've made exceptions. And then when we make these exceptions, another developer comes in and holds our feet to the fire, and then we're up the road with no paddle. So I have to support what Laura just said there.
As a longtime resident of Troutman, I go right along with both Daryl and Laura. I cannot support this. I cannot go and put something in that personally I do not feel like is necessary. Perth Bait and Tackle has taken care of business for many, many years, and I agree with them wholeheartedly.
Okay, is there anyone else who'd like to say anything now? I mean, we can take a vote and. Okay. Is there a motion regarding recommendation of rezoning CZLC 25-02?
Yes. I make a motion to deny the request as presented.
I second it.
Okay, I wasn't sure who seconded it. And I thought Daryl seconded, but I'm not sure.
We can
I
have more
did
than one.
second it, but do we have to say because it's,
No, we're just making the motion on.
okay.
Okay, I'm not, okay, motion by Lauren, second by Daryl. All those in opposition or denial, agree to deny, motion to deny, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, signify by saying nay. Okay, that's unanimous. And we need a motion regarding consistency statement for CZLC 25-02.
I make a motion, well, I guess, rezoning CZ-LC is inconsistent with the 2018 future land use map due to the future land use map showing the property to be developed as special lakes uses, as the development is non-residential and does not fit in within the definition of special lake uses.
I second that.
Okay, motion by Lauren, second consistency statement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. And I would like to thank the developer for their time, and I know this is going to town council and they make final decisions, so I appreciate all their trying to work with us, but and I think in another location it would be great. And we don't know what town council is going to decide, so town council makes the final decision on this on probably the 12th of next month, I think.
Most likely, yes.
Unless, unless they delay it or something. All right.
March 12th.
Uh,
Make sure you put it in the calendar. You came to this meeting, and you can go to that meeting as well.
Okay.
Okay, and thank y'all for all your hard work on this. I don't know what town council's gonna do, so, we're gonna go to case number, if y'all are welcome to stay, or we've got another case.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well done, Troutman. March 12th. March 12th.
You look like you killed it up top, huh?
Have a good night. Stop eating so much salt, it's gonna make your blood thin, it's gonna be cold.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good night. You too.
Take care.
That's where it happened.
See ya.
Take care.
Okay, case number RZ 26-01, south side of Perry Road, east of Hoover Road, request to rezone property from suburban residential to town residential. I will now turn it over to Andrew.
Thanks. The second case tonight, applicant is Everald Lindo. Property is owned by Sheffy Real Estate Development LLC. Property, like the last one, is zoned suburban residential or RS. Request is to rezone the property to town residential, which is a straight request. This isn't a conditional, which we saw last time. Proposed use of the property, whether it's rezoned or not, would be single-family residential. Property size is just under 9 acres. Location of the property, so this road here is Perry Road. It's intersection with Hoover Road right here. The Norwood Walk development is on the corner of Perry and Hoover on the northwestern corner. Property in question is outlined here in red. On the opposite side is the old Oswald Vault Company. Current zoning, the property is RS, is everything shaded in purple here. The orange up here is conditional zoning mixed use, which is a high-density residential district. This kind of olive shade you see here is the RT district, which is being requested today. And then this greener shade here is actually heavy industrial. So the property does, it is adjacent to some heavy industrial uses. Zoning, as I mentioned, the RS district is the current zoning. Basically, it's a single-family zoning district. Principal uses for low-density single-family lots. Minimum lot size is ½ acre. The RT district is established as a district in which the principal use of land is for medium-density single-family residences. It's expected that dwellings will have access to public or community water and sewer facilities, or a reasonable expectation that those facilities will be there in the future. Minimum lot size here is ½ acre. And this last two sentences is kind of important moving forward. Land use map, this one is right at the edge of the medium density residential and the rural residential agricultural. Rural residential agriculture is the green you see, so it is in that district. What this means, promotes the continued use of working lands and protection of environmentally sensitive lands from more intense development. Many of these areas also have topographical, cultural, or environmental challenges that will limit the potential for development. Densities are less than 1 unit and typically less than 1 house per 3 acres of land. Associated zoning districts are rural preservation, suburban residential. property is not in a watershed, so it will not have to meet any watershed regulations. TIA threshold remains the 100 peak hour trips. With the size of the lot, even with quarter-acre lots, you're only looking at about 20 lots maximum if it's rezoned. So this TIA threshold will most likely not be met. It'll be looked at that time. If rezoned, we receive construction documents. Just a little information about the site. The site is bisected by a town of Troutman sewer line. So I mentioned that sewer statement in the RT district. So the sewer is already on the property. That line indicates that if developed, densities would most likely be higher. I think we'd expect higher densities than the 1 unit per 3 acres that's currently listed in the land use plan. The property is also, as I mentioned, bordered on the south by heavy industrial uses. That's more intense in nature than the requested RT district, so something else to consider. And then I mentioned in the last case, we do have a consultant that's been hired in the process of creating a new comprehensive land use plan. It's anticipated to be completed within 12 months. We're looking at the end of this year. There is a chance that the designation will change, as mentioned last time as well. But it also is important to mention that the town is currently in a 30-month moratorium for new development, and that's based on wastewater capacity limitations. I think we're all familiar with this. So any proposed development that exceeds 1,000 gallons per day cannot proceed until the moratorium lapses or is lifted. So if this is approved tonight, no development can be approved until the time we either get additional sewer capacity or the 30-month is lapsed and the council does not basically renew the moratorium. So, similar to the last case, to support some reasons you might want to support it, the site is bordered by heavy industrial zoning property. It does have a sewer line that bisects the property, which is conducive to the RT district. Reasons not to support it: it does not meet the letter of the law for the rural residential agricultural district, and it cannot be developed until the moratorium is lifted. Once again, like the last case, we anticipate the council to make the final decision on March 12th. And I'll open it up for any questions the board may have for me.
Anyone have any questions for Andrew?
Andrew, just in terms of future land use input, would it be within their purview to require or recommend a lot split or a partial release so that there would be a dedicated easement on the sewer lateral side that would not be part of buildable? Besides, there's no frontage there anyway. There's no getting in or getting out from that area. But just generally thinking about properties like this that are landlocked and also have special crossover.
Sure.
So is it possible for land use to recommend mandatory or recommend lot splits and partial releases as it relates to buildability issues for lots in this zone?
With a traditional zoning, you cannot make any recommendations. It's just a yes or no based on the base zoning. We don't have a plan we're looking at for this, so we don't know. I do want to say there is road frontage. You probably got somewhere about 50 feet here. So if it was developed, you'd have a road built in from Perry that would come down, and then you have some properties that would be off of that new road.
Would Public Works come in the same place that the owner's driveway would be, on that side of their property?
Public Works would come in off the new roadway. New roadway would be built to town standards.
Okay, thank you.
Andrew, with the moratorium, why does this come before us with that 30-month moratorium?
Sure. So this is just a base change of the base zoning. There is not an attached plan to go along with this. So you're just changing the zoning. You're not approving any development. It's just the base zoning. Just mentioning the moratorium thing because whether you approve it or not, we've got to wait for the moratorium to lapse in order to build.
Right. Thank you.
So it comes before this body again?
Not if they develop it as by right in the RT district, if it's approved. They'll be limited to quarter-acre lots. There is a creek on the property, which will be a 50-foot buffer on both sides, top of bank. There is a sewer easement, which they won't be able to build on as well. So, like I said, I think full build-out, if this is approved at RT, you're probably looking at 20 lots, about 20 lots maximum.
And now they would not come back to us if it is, even if it's rezoned, if it's since it's not conditional.
That's right, unless they determined they wanted to come back for something smaller than quarter acre lots, they'd be required to have a conditional zoning, they'd have to come back with a site plan.
Right. I know they had something in there, but we have to ignore that because it's not conditional. They do
Sure.
anything
No.
that's inside that.
That's right, and I will say that the plan that was submitted was a good representation of, that's basically the most you're gonna get on this property with everything being perfect.
Right.
So are you saying, Andrew, it's possible to have a 20-lot subdivision completed with administrative approval only?
That's right, the way our ordinance is. It's based on your base zoning district.
Yeah, everything's not conditional. If you build by right, they can build right now without doing anything if they put half-acre minimum lot size in right now and put well and septic, they can build right now.
Well, there's a little, the moratorium does not address septic versus sewer. So the thing that we are looking at as staff is the 1,000 gallons a day. So without any kind of special exception from the state, we've been told by our engineering consultant is a typical single-family home is about 250 gallons a day. So in order to not exceed that 1,000 gallons a day, you're looking at maximum of 4 houses.
Oh, yeah, they do have sewer, so available.
So it's the 1,000 gallons a day, more or less, than the actual septic system things at this point in time.
So they wouldn't really be allowed to put a septic system in on this?
It's, if they were doing like a couple single lots, it would probably be acceptable, but they can't go over that 1,000 gallons a day.
Aren't they allowed to tie into an existing sewer if they're within 1,000 feet? So could they go into the heavy industrial sewer? Could they ask to tap the heavy
Sure.
industrial sewer?
The sewer
to
line
negate the
actually,
4 and go to the 20 with administrative approval?
yeah, the sewer line actually runs like this through the site. And I'm trying to reiterate, anything over 1,000 gallons per day, the town cannot approve. So that's about 4 lots. So at this point in time, we cannot approve a 20-lot subdivision until something happens with our sewer capacity that we can approve a 20-lot subdivision, or the town council lifts the moratorium because most likely we've gotten the capacity for more than 1,000 gallons a day.
Right.
And I'll also make another caveat, even with the 1,000 gallons a day, we still have to get sign-off from the wastewater treatment facility where the wastewater is eventually going to end up at. There's no guarantee that our neighbors to the north or the south will give us that sign-off at this time. So this will probably not be developed until the time the moratorium is lifted.
Right. Okay. Any other questions for Andrew? All right, I will now open the meeting up for public comment for this, regarding this rezoning.
So, as what Andrew was saying, the lots are not gonna be less than quarter acre. Is, I wanna do, cause I know when you get quarter acre with city sewer, city water, you could build a decent size home, so that's what I'm gonna do. I explained to him, I wanna kinda put the infrastructure until they lift the, what do you call that?
Moratorium.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanna kinda get all of that ready, so, you know, when they lift it, then I could start to develop. Right now, a couple of the lots I could build on it because they're more than a half acre. So, but I wanna get all the infrastructure, the roads, the power, water, all that stuff, the bridge, I have to build a bridge over the creek. So I wanna put all of that stuff in until the stuff, they lift that stuff, so.
All right.
But all the homes will be, the lots will be like quarter acre, some will be a little bit more than quarter acre.
Okay, thank you. That's, Anyone else would like to speak? All right, I now close the public comment time. And currently, you can build half-acre plus lots if you can work out the other part of it. But unless it's rezoned, you can't build quarter-acre lots. Okay, is there any discussion?
I have another question for Andrew. There's a drawing on here showing the potential site.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm correct, it looks like there's some sites on the sewer easement.
That's just a sketch.
Right.
So we do have our engineers that would basically point where that is out and make sure that we've got our
Okay, that's just
20 to 30 foot sewer easement, so there's no building on top of it.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah. And the zoning, anything that could be built on that could be different than that.
Yeah.
I mean, but it does have to meet requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem I have with this is the future land use plan does not support this at all. And currently, like Andrew said, that could change, but I'm not willing to guess that that's gonna change to rezone this personally, but I mean, I don't feel like that for myself, but, yeah, so. Yeah, so, any other? Okay, is there a motion regarding recommendation of rezoning RZ 2601? Okay, and need a second? I can't hear that motion at all. Speak, can you speak in the mic for? That's for the you just need a motion to deny. Okay, is there, the consistency statement comes afterwards. That's all you need.
Deny the request.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Motion by Barry, second by Paul, to deny rezoning request RZ 2601. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, it's unanimous. Now we need a motion regarding consistency statement for RZ 2601. Okay, is there a second? Is there a second? Well, you made the motion. Okay. Motion by Barry, second by Jane. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying nay. Okay. Case number RZ 2602. Paul Combs, 414 Old Mountain Road, request to rezone property from Iredell County residential agriculture to suburban residential. I will now turn it over to Andrew.
Okay, we're saving the difficult one for last here. So the applicant and property owner are both Paul Combs. It is zoned Iredell County RA. The request is to zone the property to Town of Troutman suburban residential. This is one of those that we get quite often. It's for the purpose of access to the town water, and per policy, property has to be annexed into town. If it's in the county, we have to assign a town zoning jurisdiction. Proposed use of the property is just going to be one house. Property size is about 6/10 of an acre. Property is located on Old Mountain Road. It's outlined here in red. At one time, when the tax map that's available on the GIS right now was created, this was 4 very, very small, skinny lots. It's now been recombined into one, which is outlined in red. So just ignore those property lines. It's located at 414 Old Mountain Road. Current zoning is Iredell County RA. Land use map, this is not addressed in our future land use map currently, because when our future land use plan was developed at this time, this was on the Statesville side of an annexation agreement that no longer exists. However, property RS zoning district, it aligns closely with the RA district in the county, and that's all we're looking to do here is to assign it a like district. So staff does recommend approving this to Town of Troutman Suburban Residential, and we do anticipate the council to make the final decision on March 12th as well here.
Okay, has anyone got any questions? Okay, I will now open the meeting up for public comment. Anyone who'd like to speak regarding RZ 2602? I will now close the public comment time. Okay, is there a motion regarding recommendation for rezoning RZ 26-02?
I make a motion to approve it.
Okay, I've got a motion by Paul to approve rezoning request RZ 2602 and Darrell second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. So it's unanimous. We need a motion regarding consistency statement for rezoning RZ 2602.
I make a motion. The suburban residential district is consistent with the intent of the current zoning designation in IC-RA. Furthermore, the proposed use of the detached single-family home is also consistent with the residential suburban district.
Okay, I have a motion by Lauren, second by Darrell, regarding consistency statement for RZ 2602. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed signify by saying nay. Okay, under old business, we don't have any. Under other business,
You know what? My brain is smoked. So, nothing. I got nothing for you.
okay,
Make a motion to adjourn.
okay. We have a motion to adjourn from Lauren. Do we have a second? Second by Barry. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, stay after school.
They want these pretty books back.
I don't
Pretty books back
know.
so you can give them to the town council.
No, they'll get their own.
Oh, they get their own.
Then they'll reverse it.
Turn reading?
Yeah, okay.